Hi guys, welcome to another Disney Infinity tutorial. Now we're following on from last week where we were building our satellite and I showed everybody how to do the pulse beam come through. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to show you how I built my one for the Operation Cinder level that I did on May the 4th. So we're actually going to build that effect with the block spinning through with the fire and the spinning tornadoes that pick you up and throw you about if they get you. Hey! Like so. So we're going to show you that, yeah, and then we're going to say, well, okay, if that's what I originally did, then I'm going to say, well, look, now that previous week I showed you the pulse section, which was this satellite, and a lot of you prefer that satellite, yeah. So what we're going to do then after this, after I've shown you how to create my other one, we're also going to show you how then we join the two together, yeah. So we compare last week's pulse as well as the previous one that I did in my Operation Cinder. So we'll go from those two and combine them together. Yeah. So when we put them together, we should get the following effect. Yeah. So we should get this one where it comes down the same beam. Now that's what I'm going to show you also how we combine those two together. But before we do that, I was thinking like there must be a better way of doing the cylinder, because the problem with that particular one is that it's very square and it doesn't look very tornado-y to me. Yeah, I don't know if that's a technical term. So I thought, no, how do I improve on that? So what we're going to end this clip on is how we take this tornado and make it into this tornado. And now this tornado was the effect that I was going for. And I am so pleased. It's circular. It's looking really good. I'm going to show you how I've created that. But again, combining the pulse that comes down. You're going to keep that pulse coming down all the way down to the bottom. Boom, boom. I've probably got too many explosions for you to see the pulse coming down to the bottom. Yeah, but I'm definitely going to show you how that one goes through on the screen. And we'll put that, and then that will have got my satellites, and I've shown you everything I could do with the satellites. And you can use these on any level. And like some of you mentioned, once you've got these set up, they could be used on multiple things. You could be from the top view trying to jump down and to deactivate them. There are a number of different effects you can do with these. They can affect a racing track, so I think I'm going to show you a couple of these as a racing track. I've got a few more ideas how to expand on this idea. Now that I've got it to do this level, how I can actually now make it a proper tornado as well. And these little small ones can do more damage and spinning around effects. So we've got a few little tips I'm going to show you through, but hopefully you should get it. And again, it's not too complicated. There's a lot of little things that go to little different sets that you're putting together. But I say follow the clips that I've done, and it should take you. I mean, I think one of these, after you said it, will take you no more than 40 minutes to put together from start to finish. And I've managed to get these two clips quite quickly because it's relatively not too bad. But I think this new effect looks awesome. So what I've shown you here is, because I created this level purely for the construction side, you will see now that I've created the 4 paths. Yeah. And I've mirrored them all up. Yep. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go and map them out. Now 2 of those are already set up. So what we're going to do is do the original one that I did. And obviously I did trying to go for a much larger tornado. I've got work on a large tornado working, and I've got an adjust of that coming as well later this year. I did say later this year. Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to create that column, and that column is what's going to be. So we need some basic blocks. Yeah. But before we go to basic blocks, we need a path tool. Now, what we need to do is we need to hide the tool. Now on the one I showed you last week, everything was on display. So what we're going to do is, out of sight, right, away from base, we are going to create a path that's going to link together. So it doesn't have to be a particular long line, just a very straight long line. Yeah. So I think I do about 4 dots. Yeah. And I do 4 dots just to give me different options if I want to trigger certain things off as we go across. Yeah. But this laser beam is going to be hidden out the way. Yeah. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to the properties of that, and we're obviously just going to switch it off, which makes it straightforward. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put all the effects built on this particular brick. Yeah. So what we're going to do is when we turn it on and the path gets to the end of here, so when you lodge it out, when point reached on path, what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way over to here, and we're going to connect it to this bottom path. Now again, I did say I had to have 2 because the height difference is quite good, but we're going to connect trigger actor to path. I got a bit confused here, but do down trigger actor up. Now, in my Operation Cinder one, I made a classic error. Okay, and what I did there was, when it comes onto there, I want it to carry on moving straight away. So I chose to leave that path on, which is definitely not something I want to do. Yeah. Now you'll notice here, I'm just going to get a building block. That block that we did is exactly 3 bricks down, so we want that to be hitting the ground from there. So I'm going to have to make sure it's on the lower case of that path. Yeah, I'm just checking the height, making sure, reminding myself that it was the 3 blocks. So let's move this down. Alright, so we're going to link this to the path, and then once I link it to the path, it'll appear on top. I'm just testing link, and then I've got to move it down on the screen. So I'll just place one of these here. Right, and what we do is change the colour. And the colour I used for my Operation Cinder level was was the Cobra colour. So we just go onto here. First of all, I'm going to my path connection. Sorry, get myself confused. Connected to the path. Go to Properties, Toy Box Path. I'm going to switch that on, and I'm going to lower that all the way down. So I'm just linking it all the way down to the bottom. I thought I coloured it in first. Right, so I've now connected that path. That's the bottom brick. Right. Now you have to be careful because I've coloured other things here, so I can't do a whole wallpaper thing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm now going to change the colour of it, which I should have done first, to be honest. Where am I going? See, I've lost the plot. I've all gone. I'm obviously doing this late at night. Right. And occasionally I hate it when it does that. When you try and change the colour, it messes the whole thing up. Right, let's go back here again. Right, let's try this again. Right, now the colour we want is the Cobra colour. And the reason why I liked the Cobra colour, and this was purely by chance, because it had that type of scaly thing. I was trying to give it some to look like some various bits and pieces. But with the flames, you get that glow. It's like a red glow and a light glow. So the Cobra colour worked quite well. You had that various different, I was trying to like a beam on it, but it was actually quite good when we joined those two together. So I'm just going to create a couple of these, and I've set the colour now, and I can delete this object. Right, that was a bit long-winded way around. So I've connected the first one to the path, and I moved it to the bottom of the screen. Now I don't know how high I want the other one on the screen at the moment, so I'm just going to connect this one onto it again, and I'm just going to move it up out the way. Yeah, so go Properties, Toy Box Path. Always pick it going across along the path. That is essential. If you don't do that, then the whole thing is a waste of space. It won't look good at all. I'm just going to clearly move it out of the way so it's gone. Right, and get my last path piece connected. Now, what happens is when you join these together, you'll notice there's that ridged line, okay? And what I want to do is I want to get rid of that line, yeah? So I'm just going to move it down one level. So vertical level here is just going to go down 1, and that then merges those two together on the screen, so it's got like a solid root. Yeah, so I'm quite happy with that. So that's what I'm going to do with this one here. Go to Properties, Toy Box Path. And I'm going to switch that onto that. I'm just going to now bring that down. So this should have been 10 because I moved it down box. So again, one more, and now the line's disappeared, so it's all one block. So that is theoretically my beam that was heading along the screen. Yeah, which is all good. And that comes to this path. And this is the bit I was just about to say. I left the property for this. Now I left it turned off and I switched it on. Don't do this, okay? Do not switch that on. Leave it off, and I will show you in a moment why you don't leave it off and with how you change it. Yeah. So what we're going to do here is when this logic here, so new logic connection on that route. Yeah. When point reached on path, so we've already connected it to join the moving path. We want to trigger the other option to turn this on. Okay. And again, don't do this join. I've got an adjustment on here. So watch this clip first, because you'll see I'm just trying to show you where I went wrong, and I did this wrong on my Operation Cinder level and how I've tuned it better, because I get a slight fragmentation happening on this screen. Right, so the next tool we need, what do I want to go for now? So I'm going to go to a Check Game Maker, and I'm going to go for my Tornado. Now, the problem with the pulse laser one, the Tornado's too small. You have to be right in the Tornado. So what we're going to do here is we're going to expand our chances are. So we're going to create 4 tornadoes around the edge. So what we're going to do is just connect these onto the path, and it's a great job that you can connect these. Now what you might want to do is stack multiple versions of these. So you'll see here I'm just going to connect it to the path, and then I'm going to move it down because it's got to be down to the ground level. Right, so I'm going to do along the path, and I always switch it along the path by the way, because you want them spinning in the right direction. Right, and what I'm going to do here is I've got 2 options. I've got a forward and a backwards, and I'm going to set them off 3. So you'll see it's come out 3 boxes. So it's going to be 3 either side. Yeah, so 3 one side, 3, because you're going to do 4, and then you're going to do the vertical loop down to 12. Yeah, so you position it so it's flat at the bottom and you've got the 4 gaps all going around the box. So you'll see there, that fits perfectly. Job's good. So I now do the same with the others. So this one will be the opposite direction. Now, if you saw my clip previous week, you saw that I was on a ridge that made it miss them. So you might want to stack 2 lots of these, have 2 of them like that there on the screen, so it's got more chance of picking more objects up. And you may want to add multiples, so you may want 4 around the edge and then another few around it, so it's a bigger area for people to be grabbed up and picked up and thrown. Now the demand of the memory didn't seem too bad with these, but again, it all depends on your size of your level. But you'll see here I'm moving them all about, so I've got 2 on the outside. And again, if you could do the 4, then you could do an extra 4 even further sticking out, and that'll do a bigger section on the screen. And I'll definitely have to mess around with that when I do a giant, even bigger tornado than this. Right, so we move that down. Okay, that's that one sorted, and then the last one. I'm just going through all the elements in one take, so you can see how I put it together. It was relatively quite simple. And in my test when I did my Operation Cinder, by the way, I tried 100 blocks in my test. So there's a lot of work goes into some of these testing, and you go, that don't work, and then you see it, and then listen to your feedback as well, how you can do this. So right, load that down. So I've now got, you'll notice, a nice 4 area. There's a good capture zone to pick you up, all going around it. Right, now the other thing I need with it is I need some fire and I need some lightning bolts. So I'm just going to go to my unfiltered section. And I need a locator and I need some special effects. So I need 4 of these. Okay, and again, the reason why I need the 4 because I did it for the 4 sides. Yeah. And I'm just going to go back and I'm going to go and print effects locator. And I'm going to need 2 of these, by the way. I'll come back to it at the moment, but I'm going to need 2. So I'm going to link that locator. Locator connection. I think I did active action connection there. Do it the other way around. Locator connection. Link those 4 to this one. And we just set these up. Right, so they are now all set up there. Perfect. Now what we're going to do here is when the point reaches the path here. Now you don't tend to want to do it too soon, because what tends to happen is that the lightning will start to appear down the side of the screen. You want it to appear on the screen, so I'm going to do it right at the very end when it matches the end. I'm going to go into here and say, right, can you go into this option here and can you start playing effects? So play looped. There's a looped effect. What I'm going for to start with, the first one I'm going for is the lightning, which is going to be lightning strike 2, which is get that strike coming straight down. Right, so there are all those triggered from there, and I need to position those around the base. Yeah. So I go new path connection, and I go down here, and I link it to the path. Now just remember, when you do locators don't move, which is slightly handy. They only move once the path is turned off. If the path switches off, they stay where they are, which is quite good. So I'm just going to link these all up. Now you have to be careful because the walls will be banged in the center, so you are going to have to position them like you did with the spinning satellite dishes. So I'm just here connecting them all up. You'll see what I mean in a moment. Now we'll bring that one down, connect that up. And we do this one. And your path connections, they're all now linked to those. So what I'm going to do now is I've got to do them, so I'm going to bring them 4 spots around the bottom. So now I'm going to go into each one, and this time you've got to remember which one they are. So I'm going to go to properties, toy box path, which will be connected. Right, we're going to do along the route, so they'll face in the same way. We're going to do horizontal. So this is the horizontal side. So we remember go 3, and then vertical down to -12. So that was +3. So the next one I should do I should do horizontal next, so I don't forget which one I've done. So if I do horizontal on this one, but this time instead of doing +3, do -3, so it does the opposite side. What did I go? I can't remember what I did. So switch that on, go down to horizontal. So I did do horizontal -3 this time, vertical down to -12, and then the next two are going to be forward 3 and back 3. And obviously when you switch the path, those dots then appear in that spot. Okay, so I'm now going to use the forward back one, so I'm going to go forward 3, down 12, and the other one will be back 3, which relatively makes that nice and easy. And again, just showing you all the things that I've done for this particular path. And the good thing with these satellites things that you can, when they activate them, then these beams appear and start doing anything. The satellites will sit dormant until you switch it on. Okay, now the other thing I need is another. I got a bit carried away here. I went all the way through across here. Right, I'm going to do a little trigger area. This is what's going to start my level off. Just for my particular purpose of the game, I put a number of trigger areas to do the level. And as I say, if you've watched my other clips, you'll notice that I have in each of mine have a certain logic gate that's the instigator for all my levels, and then I can daisy chain these across. And so for this demo that I've done, I'm going to have these trigger areas scattered all the way down through just to show it through. It's just purely just to show the effect. So I'll put this logic gate on here. Okay, so what we do here is, and because all these are triggered from this one event, they all happen once you start something running, then it triggers all the other various options off. So when a player enters it, any player, I am going to input a signal into here, right? And then what I'm going to do on that one, on output, so new logic connection, on output, can I turn on the other path? Now, as soon as I turn this on, the movement of that triggers all the other things that come to life. So it comes across, sets the path on, turn those all on, they all now switch on. And like I mentioned here, is I need 2 of these. Yeah, because although I've got the lightning, I need the smoldering flames. Now the good thing is those locators are already set up. Yeah, so all I need to do now here is new logic connection. When point reached on path, can we go to the new effects generator? Play loot. Now this one I now want the smoldery fire, the flames one, which is quite good. So we did this one in last week's clip, but it's the smoky flames. They're the smoky flames, and all I've got to do now is link those connectors up because they're the same connectors and they're already positioned already. So I'm just going to do locator connection to this box, effects locator. So I'm going to do it for all these. And like I say, as soon as you trigger it off, they will then do their movement and start to go across the screen. Effects locator. Now obviously, by the way, make sure you save it. So before you do your test, you hit that save button, because once the path moves, when you do one of these options where the path now is from the bottom and then moves across, see that the pulse laser doesn't matter, no one sees that until the pulse appears. It could be all connected. Yeah, but this one, the path is down below, so once it leaves this path and joins the top, you can't save your level, so just be wary of that. Right, so I've now got all those linked up, and we're now ready to do a little quick test. And this little test is going to show you what happened in my actual operation in the Cinder, a little flaw which I've now found a way to rectify. So let's have a look at that. So if I just now run through my trigger area, that will start off the path, which will now move across, and the lightning kicks in and it starts to move. Now when you have multiple objects connected, when they jump path, you'll notice they're not in sync. You see that? You can now see the line, you can see the join, and I haven't got a lot on this level, by the way, but it just shows you, it just gets it out of sync. And in my operation that happened, and that annoyed the pants out of me. Yeah, so it just wasn't a dead straight barrier, but I found a way to fix that. So to fix that, what we're going to do here is we're going to take back what I did wrong on the screen. So the first thing we're going to go down here is we're going to switch this property off. So make the default property to be switched off. That is important, right? Now we still want the path to connect to it. That's not going to change. But we don't want to turn this one on, yeah? Because otherwise it will leave the place. So we're going to just delete that link. I did tell you not to do it. That's why I just watch it first. So I'm just going to delete that previous link out. There's only one, so I'm just going to delete that and get rid of that off altogether. So that's the one. I'm just double checking that was the one that turned it on, which is the very bottom one, and I'm going to delete that out. Right, so I'm now deleting it here. So what I need to do is I need to send it to the path like a stop-start scenario. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is a little magic little tool I'm going to pick, and I'm going to pick a timer. I think I'm doing that next. What I'm going to do, yeah, I want the timer, the time delay. Now, second for this is going to be okay. Sometimes when you've got a number of options coming on the screen, it's going to be alright. So what we're going to do here is, so when we get to here, we've already told it to jump at the other path. So a new connection, when point reached on path, can we start the timer? So it goes to there, and it will jump to the other path, but the other path is not done. And we're going to give it a 1 second move. Yeah. So after 1 second, new logic connection, when delay complete, can we turn it on? So we give it a second just for it all to come across and stop. So there isn't, as it jumps, it theoretically jumps and stops, and because they all stop together, they all realign themselves back up. So occasionally when you do a jump path one for the next, get it to once it's jumped to then do like a stop button. And obviously once we've got it connected, can you switch that back on? Yeah. And they will both start off the screen, and then that should now work. So now let's do a little quick test as we go through. Look at that, a perfectly straight bar. And that gets rid of that little breakage that occurs. It's like a little stop-start mechanism. So I've just repeated the exact same thing for my final column, yeah. And you'll see here I've got my locators for my effects, so they're all there connected on the screen. And I've got these little effects points that are linked to the path, so they'll get my different explosions. So that is our route. Now, going back to what we did last week, we had this little trigger here that fires through a set of chains off. Now, you don't have to create that for every single one. They can all be used on the same type of effects. Now, you'll see here I'm putting 5 more locators. Yeah, and the same effect is going to apply. So at the moment that points to the one that goes vertical, but you see I've got 2 sets. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to do the same control that I did last week that's going to fire that pulse beam, that green pulse that comes through. Now the good thing is I don't have to recreate that logic. That logic is already exists. So this pulse is going to be the same pulse that I do for all my satellites. So I only ever need one of these. Yeah. So all I'm doing here is creating a number of locators again linked to each of one of those effects. And you'll see that I've already done 4 already. And that's for the one that I've shown you in my tests. Yeah. So I'm just linking all those up to there. And all I need to do with these locators is stagger them the same number, which is either 20, is it 28, 20, 10, 0, and minus 12. Yep. So all I've got to do now with each one of these is, so you'll see I've done this one already, they're already connected. So what I now need to do is now connect those locators all the way over to the path. So that's the one I did earlier with the one with the bar with the pulse. So I'm now going to grab one of these, yeah, and I'm going to go, right, new path connection. This is where I'm merging the two together. That's what will give the pulse that goes down the center of this path. So I'm just going to link it to this path. And the nice thing about the locators, they don't move, so it's great. So all I've got to do is link them all up. So let's get them all connected first, and then I'll change those properties. But this is the clever bit. So you use that one bar, and I explained that in my last clip. So look at the last clip that I called Imperial Satellites. Yeah, go and look at that clip, and that will show you how to use that bar. And that's my control source that triggers the green pulses flashing down the line. It just keeps repeating. But you can use multiple areas of these. Yeah, so it's the same pulse scattered through the whole lot. So this one trick is used multiple times. Again, saving on logic and saving on memory. So, but I'm now just connecting all locators to these, all these path locators to this particular one. Alright, so keep doing it for more. You've just got to remember which one you've done. And we'll connect this all up. I just thought I'd show them all as we go through. This should be all my locators if I've got it done correctly. Now, if you want my honest opinion, I think the very last one, yeah, I would probably not do it 12 on the bottom. I'd probably raise it up, bring it back to -10, so you can see it just before it hits the ground. I think you don't see it because it's right along the ground, so I may change those. Right, so this is where I'm going to go to the properties of each of these paths now. So along the path, vertical, so I'm going to make that all the way up to the top. Was it 28 or 24? I think it was 28. Yeah, it was 28. Perfect. So that's that one done. Cool. The next one, I'm going to do the same thing again. Properties. That'll be 20, then 10, then 0. And I would probably, because you won't see it, I'll make it probably -10 instead of 12. I'd probably make that adjustment. And we'll do that for all of these. So I'm just going to show you here as we do it. And if you're creating your map, I would store like these blocks hidden out of the way underneath it, so there's nothing, and then they suddenly appear. So there's 0, cool. And the last one. And I think I do in this one I do -12, but I have to looking at the test one might be do if you don't see it hit the ground. I might do it. You do on the when it's clear, but when it's full of data and you've got the fire and stuff, I'll probably make that 10 instead of 12 on that last one, -12. Right, so all those now, those pulses are still connected all through there. Now this is already triggered. This has already been triggered from the other path. Yeah. So I don't need to trigger again, it's automatically flashing through. So as soon as we get to the third one across, it's already started to fire them. So I don't need to worry about that. And they will then start just pulsing across. So I've got that already firing. It does it all the same, and it starts triggering those across on the screen. So the trick now is how the hell do we get it to get you that coned effect? And then what I was thinking was, well, hold on. When I put these options, why don't I create duplicate pillars? Yeah, and what I was going to do is actually just twist them. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a set of pillars. Now, to be honest, I thought the group went up in tens. So in my original head, I thought, oh, I'll just change it every 10 degrees. So you'll see I'm just creating 4 links here. And I kept them separately, by the way. You could do it all in one part, but it gets really tricky to select. So I just cut through, and there's a little bit of edit in this clip because I did 8 because I thought it went up in 10. So I want from 0 to 90 degrees. Yeah, and I was doing it, but they actually go up in 15, so you only need 5 paths. So I'm only going to show you me doing 5s, but in this particular clip, I actually did 8, then realised I didn't need them. So you'll see as I'm creating my 5 links, I will then edit it nicely so it looks like there's only 5 that you needed, but I mistakenly did 8. So just in case you see other blocks that you don't need. Now, once you've done your 5, you then need to go through each one of these options and switch the path off. So you have to go in and do the properties. So I'm going to go here, turn these off. Cool. And you need to do it for every single one because you don't want the blocks to move. So do it for all 5 paths that you've just added. As you go across. There you go, switch them all off. Now that they're done, what we're going to do now is we're going to create an input gate. Now, these don't need to be staggered, by the way. We want them all to come through at the same time. So I'm just going to do a logic gate that turns them all on the exact same time. Now, because they all start at the same time, doesn't mean they'll all appear, because there's just a fraction of delay. Yeah? But we've rectified that with that now pause start. So what we're going to do is on output from this, can we turn all these on? All at the same time. So we go to this one, switch this one on. And again, you can do it for all 5. So you go to properties, new logic collection on output. You go all the way down. You can switch those on. But the clever thing is we're going to do it, so we don't have to do any more visual effects because it's all in the same pot. So I don't have to do any more tornadoes. I don't need to do any fires or lightnings. All I've got to do is just a stack of 3 blocks, so it's not as bad as it looks. And you only have to do 5, when originally I thought you had to do 8, so it is a lot easier. So I'm just switching all these first 5 on. I'll speed this up a little bit. Now, once you've got your 5 set up, what we do the same here, same thing again, is when it gets to the end of that path, new logic point, can we connect that to the triggering point? And they're all going to connect up to the same point. So new logic action, connect trigger and actor to path. So you do all that on each one of those points. Now I've spaced them about, and you'll see the one next to it, the third option. I missed a dot off, but because the spacing is the same, just because you don't have the same number of dots, as long as the path length is the same, it'll still have the same effect. Yeah. So connect trigger actor to path, and again do that for all 5 links. Now this is all going to be hidden under below your map, so in the gameplay you wouldn't see any of this. You wouldn't see these red bars, they just suddenly appear when you need them. Trigger to path. Perfect. So we'll do that for all those 5 sets. Right, so what we're going to need to do now, go back to our simple toys, and because I've kept my pattern on these blocks here, so I need 3 blocks. So I'm just going to chuck in 3 blocks for each one. So each 3 sets go across here. There we go. And then when you've got your blocks, what you're going to do now is you're going to connect each one before, connect it to the path so it goes on exactly the same. Now remember it's 4 angles, so when we twist this, it twists it all the way round. So although we're only doing like 1/4 of it, actually because it's a 4-sided shape, it all moves. So what we're going to do here is we go to rotation, and you're just going to turn it once, just 15 degrees. You notice it only goes up in 15s. Yeah. So just change that to 15, and then I still have to do the 3 heights exactly the same block. So the vertical height will go down to -12, so that doesn't change. So the vertical height doesn't change, but just that twitch. And that twitch will then stick out slightly. Yeah, it'll give you a little edge because the corner's now not matching over, but we're going to stick these all on top of each other within the same group, which will give us that cylinder view. Now I didn't know how, because I was hoping it would be intense, so it would be a lot finer, so it would look a perfect round, but the shape it gave me was just exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to stick that up. That goes up to 10. Now I know the difference on the 2. Do the same thing again. Properties. Right. So this is the key part here. So I've changed this to be the degree. So I've got this down. The vertical light's going to come down. Again, still make sure you twist it along the path as well. The vertical is going to go down 1, and then we're going to twist that the 15 degrees. Right. The next one you twist 30 degrees. Yeah, so that's that one done. So you do the exact same, but you twist it a little bit further. Okay, and like I say, it goes up in 15s. So this column is going to be 30 now. The next one is going to be 45. The next one is going to be 60, and then whatever it is, 45, 60, whatever the list you're going to go on the screen, until you get to 90. So we're going to change that to 30. Move that down. Properties, twist that again. Move that to 10. Do the next one, which will bring down. I think I've counted this right. I might be wrong, which is whether I'm doing these voiceovers late at night that I can remember what I'm doing. Right, let's change that. Go to properties. Rotate that. Do that to 30. Perfect. That's all we've done. So 15, 30, 45, 60. Oh yeah, the other one only goes 75. I don't have to do 70 because it goes 75, 90. So this one I'm going to change to 45. Move these down. So again, and because they're all stacked together at the same time, you get that edge. I have to say, they only came together just when I was moving. Like, how do I get a circular shape? The square is not. The square looked too rigid, and that was the issue I had with my Operation Cinder, which was the big square. Now it looks like a cylinder. To me, I think it's the right length, and we can do more with this as well. So I've got a few other line of things to show you how to use this in other areas. Just give you different ideas. I might just do a little toy box of all different variations of how you can use this. But I think you can pick this in various different settings. And these beams moving across back and forth, that gets in the way. And the fact that they can pick up cars and throw you across. If you are in a race and these tornadoes are flicking across the racetrack, I think a racetrack could be quite good. Right, and we just keep doing these. Right, now you'll see here, they're the extra 3 that I didn't mean, but they're all staggered. Look, they're all staggered, a slightly different angle all the way across. Okay, and then we're going to link them across the screen. Now, my panic here was, because I've got 6 columns all moving across at the same time, would a second be enough? Yeah, that was my issue. So I was thinking, right, might we need to be a bit longer. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get my time delay. Okay, now they're all running at the same time, and the paths that I've got them on are all the exact same length. That's key, by the way. The path lengths have to be all 4 long. So I'm just going to pick one of these. New logic connection. When point reached on path. Yeah, we're going to set this timer off. Now, because they were like objects, I didn't want any delay. I wanted to make sure I think a second would be enough. Yeah, I'm going to start delay. I actually changed the property of that to 2 seconds. I went, do you know what? I would guarantee I'll want to jump first, so I changed that to 2 seconds. Don't get me wrong, you're still going to have the pulse on the screen, so that 2 seconds won't disappear. So when we say delay complete, can we then turn on the bottom path, and then can we do the same again, and can we turn on the top path? Okay, I think this I agree with some of you mentioned it. I think you've got a lot of different choices you can do with this. Yeah, I think, and the last thing I've got to do now is what triggers the whole thing to start off. Yeah, so I'm just going to get a trigger area that when my person walks here on a map. You see, I've done the 3 other trigger areas to show off the other maps. Again, this is just to remind you, how does that satellite start moving? As soon as the user follows the journey along here. As soon as he walks through here, and I've used that water thing as my little tester so I can remember what I'm doing. This is after the big rocks. What am I doing here? New logic connection. When a player entered. Yeah, any player. And there should be one logic gate that starts it all off. That's the magic one that switches them all on. That moves them all across. You get the input that you need to do it. And that is how you create, I think, I'm going to call that my tornado satellite. Yeah, I can show you a couple of variations how you can tweak this further. We can add a cool little effects to the top of it, by the way, to give it the tornado so it doesn't be linked with the satellite. But I'll show you that another day. But let's have just a recap of what that looks like, because I think that is now exactly what I want for my level. So we go into, that's the old style, and now that. Now, I'd like to know what do you still just prefer the pulse? Do you prefer the column ones? Or do you think that now looks... It's now in the way. To me, I do think you need it. Because it's something you can physically see. So if you're using it as something that moves around and an obstacle you have to avoid while driving, if it's in a driving game, yeah, I think that would work quite well. You could even have these spinning around in a football match, and these will just throw you off and pick you up or throw the ball away. So again, they're obstacle courses that do it. There's so many different things I think you could use this effect to. You don't have to have the flames, you can have the tornadoes. You can have the tornadoes, by the way, stacked all the way up the column. But I'm very pleased how my cylinder, I finally got the cylinder that I wanted out of square bricks. And I think it looks good. I think it gives the effect I want. So I will do a remastered version of my Operation Cinder. I may add a couple more satellites in there to add to the link. I have another clip coming soon as well, again related to Operation Cinder, but just on some other elements to do with the Star Destroyer, which I'm going to go through in a bit more detail. So what do you think? Do you think that now is the correct one to use? Which one did you prefer, or what variations might you do? So if you do a change to this, let me know. I'm always interested. So if you've changed it, tweaked it even more, keep me posted. Stay safe, guys, and speak to you all soon. See you later. Bye.